Alright guys, we have a lot to be discussing in regards to the crypto space. We're going to be following up in regards to a bull trap scenario we were discussing in the last video, whether or not this is actually going to turn into a downtrend move. Should you be concerned? What I'm particularly looking at in terms of the altcoins, Dynex, Zenify, ordinals, bitmaps, all that cool thing. So I'm going to be discussing that at the end of the video. Stick around, you don't want to miss this information. And if you want to become part of the Crypto Bros family, go ahead and click that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up because it does help out the algorithm. So as we were noting in our last video, guys, as you can see right here, I did come out basically saying look out for a bull trap.
Upside position that we recently seen for Bitcoin getting above 45,000. Is this a bull trap scenario? Is this basically getting the longs in the wrong side of the trade and getting them liquidated? Well, it's very possible. So it could be a false breakout. Again, we're gonna talk about that.
So guys, we covered that in the previous video, saying look, watch out, there is a potential probability that this could be a false breakout, because look, we've been kind of actually ranging in this region for quite some time, coming in back in December the 5th, right, building these ranges, support structures to actually get Bitcoin really to go above these key critical areas. But however, right, we did break out above $44,000 area. Once we broke out, usually price action likes to come back, retest it as support. Unfortunately, this did not play in the hands of the bulls, and it actually liquidated a lot of longs. More than 400 to 600 million longs were actually liquidated in the last 24 hours, which is a very substantial amount of capital to be going back into the hands of the exchanges. Now, with that being said, is the potential for that bull trap scenario turning into an actual downtrending move? Well, if we actually look on the daily time frame, guys, okay, we look at the stochastic, we're talking about paying attention to this area, right? Because this area is actually looking to put in lower high on the oscillator. One on price action, you are looking to put in higher high. Now, what does that actually mean? That means a regular bearish divergence is coming into the market, meaning that there is exhaustion in this particular movement. Again, we've been actually trailing up. Bitcoin has been grinding up and up and up for quite some time, weeks on end, right? And I think the momentum is starting to die down. That does not mean that Bitcoin can't actually put another leg up. Where that next leg comes up, well, this is what we're going to look at. So if we look at the 4-hourly time frame, guys, what we're looking for is for Bitcoin in the next day or two is to actually get above back 43,200 area. So we're looking to actually reclaim this area back into support. If we actually continue to close this day or this particular candle, daily candle, which is going to be closing in about 3 hours and 22 minutes, the downside pressure will continue here for Bitcoin. And it's it's either now or never, right, in the next day or so. So with that being said, again, what I'm particularly looking at the MACD, it's indicating to you here on the daily time frame, as you can see, as long as we're below 43,900, the downside still continues. As long as we're below 44,641, it will actually start to cross to the downside below the midline region, which is getting into the bearish control zone. However, you have all these catalysts that are essentially playing in regards to the chart of Bitcoin. Again, more likely, if the daily closes, you're going to look for that posture on the oscillator to actually be pointing to the downside, putting more pressure for Bitcoin. So I'm looking for Bitcoin, the buyers, to come into the market, pull us above 43,200 region. If we can get above that, I think we do have a good scenario of chance of continuing this next leg up. If it continues, the next support structure for Bitcoin really comes in around $36,000 to $38,000 in this region, this zone right here, this bull flag pattern that we broke out of, coming in back in December the 1st. But again, that is the next support plateau. You know, we'll take it a step at a time. I don't want to go too much into it, but let's go ahead and actually jump on to strategy 23, because this strategy actually did fire off. So what you're looking for is you're using two indicators, right? Well, these indicators are free on TradingView, and you're looking for the MACD to essentially turn blue, or is already blue, above the midline, which is what we already have here. And we're looking for the Heiken Ishii candle to close below this yellow line. That gives you basically an entry condition, which I'll present you with the statistical data so you guys can actually see this. So this is basically giving you a downside short position of 7.43%, which is a nice overall trade. If you're actually using a leverage on this, right, 2 or 3x, you're getting about 21% to the downside in regards to that, right? But because this is a neutral direction trade, you know, 50 to 50%, you're gonna have to have some sort of bias to actually take the short side position in regards to that. Maybe that was more than enough, right, to take that short side position with lower highs coming in on the oscillator, with higher highs on the price point, you know, indicating to you regular bearish divergence. The MACD putting downside pressure as well too, as we can see even on the MACD, is indicating that more likely we are looking right on this next closure for that bearish divergence to continue to play on the daily time frame. So yeah, that's basically the strategy that's fired off so far from the closure. I mean, from where that candle condition was actually met, so far we've actually seen about 5.2%, which again is very close to the average downside of 7.43%. 7.43%, where does that actually put you? That puts you roughly just at the bottom end of this this move, around $40,000 area, guys. Okay, so that's where, you know, Bitcoin overall, you know, maintaining that ranging structure over time. So let's go ahead and you know, just jump onto this. I wanted to discuss, because again, ordinals are actually starting to go mainstream. So let's just have a listen to this.
Bitcoin's transaction fees are also at a relative high since 2020. And that's because the demand for Bitcoin block space has actually gone up in the last year because of these things like inscriptions and ordinals, which is kind of happening on the crypto native side. But what it will effectively do is it is providing additional miner revenue and additional security for the long-term future of.
So as you can see, guys, this is one of the first mentions of basically ordinals on mainstream media. And could this basically be signaling an actual top for the overall Bitcoin space, for overall ordinals? We covered on our last video that Jim Cramer essentially came out, you know, stating that Bitcoin again is bullish, and you know, when he says something, you need to do the opposite of that. But again, we've seen bitmaps actually take a big hit, you know, going to the peaks of 300 for one bitmap. Currently, one of these is trading around $192 as the price floor here, as we can see. But some of them are trading around $200 to $210. But again, guys, so again, we've been seeing a lot of hype essentially come in. I've talked about this space for, you know, since last year, coming in March, talking about this is the space you needed to get into. Riding that hype out for the next year. Is the ordinal space completely dead? I don't think so, guys. Again, inscriptions was one of the things that was embedded to Bitcoin when it first actually launched, because Satoshi was the first person to actually inscribe. As we've seen, he was able to inscribe the news headline saying one of the bank failures actually that had happened at the time, inscribing it onto the Bitcoin blockchain. And we see this, you know, come over time, right? Come over time, where we're able to start to actually bring in DeFi to Bitcoin. And I believe this space has a lot to grow, and you don't actually want to be missing what's going to be happening over time in regards to this space. What I'm particularly doing myself, again, I've taken a lot of profits around these regions in regards to bitmap. Some of these ordinals I've already sold off. And I'll also, you know, I'm looking for opportunities, right? I'm looking for the next opportunity that get presented, and you know, if you're subscribed to this channel, I'll be talking about those opportunities. What I'm currently in, well, Titan-X, guys. I'm currently in Titan-X. As we've talked about this on this channel, I was a day one miner, basically starting miners when Titan-X actually came out. Now, we did see, again, Titan-X actually had a huge amount of price action. to the downside, putting in a nice downtrend overall. Would I be starting miners? Well, if you are going to be starting miners, not financial advice, you're looking to actually play the long-term game of things. But if we actually look at this, right, miner maturing, over time, we can see that there are a lot of miners coming out due, in the next run or so, which will continue to put pressure in regards to the price for Titan X. However, the buy and burn continues, to steadily grow, right, and is being, used to basically keep the price of Titan X, continue to keep the day one miners profitable. So far, we've seen about 18 million in V2 and about 9 and almost 10 million in regards to V1. So, a good chunk of 29 to 30 million is in regards to this buy and burn feature. Again, is it a long-term play for me? Not necessarily. I'm continuing to essentially withdraw some of these profits, that miners that are essentially coming out, and using that, waiting for opportunities that are going to be presented for, myself overall, maybe in the Bitcoin space, maybe in other projects that, we see with great game theories overall. Anyways, I'll leave you off with this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Also, one thing I do want to note as well too, because I think there's a great opportunity, which is actually Zenify, guys. Okay, I don't know if you've heard of it. I've talked about it a couple times in regards to this channel, and that is the XNF token. Okay, the XNF DEX that you can basically get onto. I think this will do pretty well over the long term of things, and as it set to launch on Ethereum as well. So again, I'll leave you off with this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, bros, as always, stay profitable.